Alright guys, it is finally time for me to talk about the Steam Deck.
Oh! He got me! Oh my god!
Like a turkey.
We need to shoot the moon, that's how we win.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
I'm dead!
Ah! He's right in front of it again! Oh, no. Ah! He ate Space Mask! Ah!
Oh,
Not mustard! No!
And bounce off your face!
The meat man!
I'm in the mustard! Mustard
Ow.
death, that's a trap, don't go back there.
Zelda returns to Game Boy Color in an adventure too big for just one game. Rated E for everyone. Get into it.
so a long time ago, many years ago, I made a video about a Bluetooth controller that I had bought off of Amazon. And there was a reason that I bought that controller, and the reason was that I was on a quest. That's the way I said it, was that I was on a quest to find a controller, and basically, well, really it was more than a controller, it was an experience that I was after. 8 years ago I made and uploaded this video, and it was one of my, it's been one of my best performing videos over time. It has stood the test of time and, come a long way from then, I guess. I would hope to say so. But the whole thing was about this controller that I got, and the reason that I got it was because I was chasing after an experience. It was a quest for this specific experience that I had in my mind. The experience I was looking for was one where I was able to play games on the go, and it was like a portable. I wanted something portable that had a bunch of my games, if not all of my games on it, that I could just kind of enjoy when I was in waiting situations where I'm waiting on this or that, or just situations where I'm just have the time for it. I don't know. I didn't know exactly at the time why I was looking for this, but since then I figured that out. It all goes back to the 1990s when I first got this thing right here, the Game Boy Color, specifically Atomic Purple. This is my actual Game Boy Color from way back then, and whenever I got this thing for Christmas, it was one of the things that I specifically asked for, but I never thought in a million years that I would get that thing for Christmas. I just put it on the Christmas list. My mom actually, I think she said, just put it on there, you never know. I wrote the Christmas list and I delivered it to my grandparents. I think I even may have mailed it to my grandparents. And my grandmother tells me about whenever she went to, I think she went to Toys R Us or Walmart or something, and basically just handed the guy there at the store this list. He basically took it from my grandmother and was like, I know exactly what you need. Huge shout out to that guy, biggest wingman ever. I wish I knew who that guy was. But ever since then, I've been chasing that same experience that I first had whenever I turned my Game Boy Color on and played a game, just laying there in my grandparents' floor, and just went on this adventure right then and there while my family opened their presents and had a good time. I mean, I was just absorbed in this thing for a little while. And then suddenly it hit me that I could take this thing with me to all these different times that, as a kid, that I was just sitting around waiting. Especially back then, before iPhones and things, back in my day, you spent a lot of time waiting on your parents, whether it was like after church, you had to stay after and while they did choir practice, or riding in the car to go somewhere, your mom on the way to Hobby Lobby or whatever. Lots of time waiting, and I realized suddenly I could have this with me and go on little adventures and kind of make the most of that downtime while I was just waiting on them. So many years later, I was kind of chasing that experience as a kid. I mean, the great thing about the Game Boy Color back then was that you could take your games anywhere, but it hasn't aged the best. Anyway, I was just chasing that experience ever since then, and I wanted something that had a great screen, that had great battery life, and then most of all, that I could have as many of my games that I owned as possible in one place. So when Valve announced the Steam Deck, I felt like they had been listening in on these conversations and thoughts that I had had for several years. I felt like they knew exactly what I was looking for. It was kind of a thing that we all experienced and we'd all been chasing ever since. And I'll never forget whenever they announced that thing, I was like going down this checklist in my mind of, you know, all the things that I'd been looking for and that I'd kind of wanted, and I just couldn't believe it. They were checking every single box. And then the biggest thing, you know, the GPD Win had been out, and several devices from that company had been out, and I'd looked at those before. And the big, like, the kicker with those guys is that the price was super high. The Game Boy, when it came out, it wasn't incredibly expensive. It was affordable, and it was in the price range just right that my grandparents were like, yeah, you know, that's a thing. That's going to be the big gift for this year. So whenever I heard that the base model Steam Deck, the 64 gig Steam Deck, was only like $400, I couldn't believe it. I was like, that is actually competing with consoles that are out right now, like the Xbox and PlayStation, etc. So when they announced that price point, I knew I had to go ahead and reserve one, and I had to get that thing when it came out because I wanted to be behind this thing. I wanted to support it. I wanted to do whatever I could to make sure that this thing happened, because I knew that it was going to do more than just be the device that I had been looking for. I knew it was going to be a device that a lot of guys like me had been looking for, and that it was going to have a huge impact on the gaming industry. And we've seen that. We've seen, you know, a lot of companies following suit. All these other similar competing devices have come out, and it's not just, you know, one-off devices that are like these kind of little Android-based emulator machines. I'm talking about things that are actual competitors to stuff like the Nintendo Switch, the Steam Deck itself, and we've even seen Xbox making some, you know, steps in that direction as well now. Big industry players, the big industry players, including even PlayStation got in on it. And now, just recently, Valve has announced the new Steam machine and the new Steam controller and Project Deckard, which turned out to be the Steam frame. If you don't know, recently mini PCs have become something that they've never been before, which is similar to the Steam Deck, portable, affordable, and practical. Used to, mini PCs were just kind of a, you know, a random section over here on the side for people who are like enthusiasts of that. Now they're becoming a mainstream thing with APUs being a lot more affordable and a lot more practical. One of my absolute favorite things about the Steam Deck and about everything that they're doing going forward from here is that not only does it come with an operating system that is optimized for gaming, but you can put Windows on it, you can put whatever you want on it, and you can run, I mean, it's got a full Linux environment that is competing with Windows. One of the things that I hated the most about the Nintendo Switch is that it's just a Switch. Like, Nintendo doesn't want you to do anything else with the Switch except play their games on it their way. Valve is going in the complete opposite direction. They're saying, hey, why don't you play your games on it your way? You paid for this thing. You know, why don't we let you use it the way that you want to use it? Wow, what a great idea. And speaking of walled gardens and, you know, Nintendo not letting you do what you want with your stuff and all these other companies doing that, what? The controllers, man, the controllers. This is one of my absolute favorite controllers ever. It's the Wii U Pro controller. And I got this thing at a pawn shop for like $20 because nobody bought the freaking Wii U. I love this controller. I love this layout. It's symmetrical. You got your sticks both in the same place. You got your buttons right here. I mean, why? Why do we have to do the offset stuff? That's never made any ergonomic sense to me. You know, this controller is great, but it's next to impossible to use it on a PC. Why? I love that you can play the Steam Deck on the TV and sit back on your couch with a Bluetooth controller, but the problem is that there isn't, like, in my mind, there's never been an adequate controller for the Steam Deck until now. Look at this thing. It has all the things you could ask for. It's got the track pads, it's got the new magnetic thumbsticks, got the Steam button right there in the front and center. You can play it with the Steam controller puck, you can play it plugged in, or you can play it wirelessly. Wow. Gyro enabled. That thing, if y'all haven't done the gyro stuff on your Steam Deck, you need to play around with that. And then you got the Steam frame. I mean, look at this thing. It's basically the same thing as the Oculus headset, except for you don't have to log into Facebook and let them track your entire life through that thing. And you don't have to do any kind of weird, like, finagling to get Steam games to run on it and Steam VR stuff to run well on it, like you do with the Oculus. And exciting feature number 47, it won't make you look like a jerk. The quest is complete. We're here. We've arrived. And I think one of the main things that I'm looking forward to in this is, again, all these industry leaders following Valve's lead. I would love to see things like Nintendo, and I don't think they're ever going to do this, but I'd love to see them do things like let us play your games on whatever device we want. So, all that to say, here's to you, Gabe. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for realizing this dream that apparently we all had. I'm looking forward to this new era of gaming.